Well, he's scheduled to start at 12%, according to this. He's had enough of DFC. Just, are you not getting another usher down here? Keep the lights down. Keep the lights down. Just make sure no one keeps the lights.
The lighting for the podium.
Gewoonlik is daar nie lig nie, dan kan jy nie lees
Ek
nie.
weet jy dis ek het nie.
Mens vergeet dit gewoon.
Ja. Hoe lyk dit vir jou? Sit jou ding daar.
Ek kan sien. Ek weet as ek jou nou kan dit hoor,
Ja.
ek myne ook kan lees
Jou is
nie.
bietjie kleiner as myne dalk.
Dis okay.
Okay.
Is that the best we can do with light? Because at the best of times, I'm blind, eh? So, Vice Chancellor and Chair of Council, I must say that the choir had me nostalgic there for a moment. Not so long ago, I used to be built for speed. And I could move like that. Believe it or not, that if you challenge me, I might just, do the moonwalk later. But of course, these days, my wife reminds me I am built for comfort. Vice Chancellor, Prof. Iron Ransburg, Chairperson of Council, Prof. Roy Marcus, members of Council, members of the UJ Executive Leadership Group, representatives from the Department of Higher Education and Training, and of course, the National Skills Fund, representatives from government in Broad, representatives from the city of Johannesburg, representatives from industry and the corporate sector, both here in South Africa and some of our partners from abroad, representatives from CETAS, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen, fellow UJ staff members, and of course, some of our students here tonight. Welcome, welcome to this UJ Skills Harvest Festival. It is indeed a partnership between the National Skills Fund and UJ. And if the choir's performance is anything to go by, we'd like you to sit back, relax, enjoy the next hour with us for the presentation part of our launch here tonight. And we will migrate back to the foyer where we'll continue to engage, socialize, but I'm also going to invite you after our proceedings here in the auditorium to go on the short journeys, check out the exhibitions, see some of the training facilities, and I suspect some of the students might actually be at work as we speak. We don't do it to them every day, of course, it's voluntary. They can do so on their own time. So once again, welcome to UJ and to our DFC campus. And I'd like to kick off with the program, and without much further ado, I'm going to ask Professor Willem Clark, CEO of Resolution Circle, UJ's commercial company, to address us. Prof. Wimpy.
I'm not sure what I'm built for now, because I'm a bit shorter though. Aerodynamics, that's it. So. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and a warm welcome from my side as well. I stand here with maybe two hats on tonight. Proudly UJ on the one side, and then CEO of Resolution Circle on the other side. So I'll be speaking a little bit with the Resolution Circle hat on today, but it's in the context of UJ. It's also a little, with a lot of gladness in my heart. I think it's a long 3-year journey that we've had, and especially with the NSF that we see there, the representatives there. And it's quite nice to be here and see this in action and join in the celebrations with everyone here. I want to start by discussing two fundamental problems that resulted in why we are here tonight, from my side anyway. And I think the first line that I want to make is universities do not have a reception desk. A few years ago, I came across a gentleman roaming around in the engineering corridors. He had a box of electronics in his hands. I started talking to him, and he had this electronic problem with this product that they wanted to do. And I think some of the people are around here in anyway today. And he was just sure that someone in the university should be able to help him. But after having had some difficulty with campus security and trying to navigate the maze that make up the university, he finally ended up knocking on doors at the engineering. And that's where I found him. So fortunately, we could help him, and so was a good relationship was built. Industry knows that universities have the expertise to help them, but there are obstacles that hinder the collaboration process. On the other side of the coin, universities sit on a gold mine of IP, intellectual property, and things they've done, which they find difficult to get into the market. So there's this mismatch. I think the second point I want to make around this is the experience dilemma. And I think we're all aware of the experience, especially for young people. Universities provide education, but a lot of young professionals need to be equipped with both the fundamental knowledge, which universities are excellent in providing, but there's also the practical side, the experience, the practice. And a while ago, we conducted a comprehensive survey among our first-year students in the Faculty of Engineering. It was quite shocking. One of the findings was that the majority of engineering students have had very little exposure to even the most basic technical skills. I'm talking about having a hammer at home, a book, doing basic things. Despite their good academic performance, many aspiring engineering students come from a background where they have little exposure to electricity. Now these students were sitting in our class trying to be electrical engineers. And there's this mismatch. You can get the experience of the knowledge and the theory, but there's this backlog of knowledge. So students in the National Diploma of Engineering program are required to complete what we call the Work Integrated Learning Program. It's an internship they need to do in industry. Many might be familiar with it. They need to spend 1 year in industry to get their sort of practice side, and then they can go get their diploma, and then they can start their careers. But in the last few years, since 2008, we have seen a substantial increase in the number of students that just couldn't get placement, and that was quite problematic for us. So it's a catch-22 situation. Now they need experience to get a job, but you need a job to get experience now, to use that old phrase. So what is Resolution Circle? So first off, it's an intern development platform. Now, we actually developed the engineering intern program with industry specifically. We went around and spoke to them. And this 1 year employment program is focused on improving the employability and promotability of our engineering interns. We have identified 17 skills areas that these interns need to expose them, and they rotate through these skills. So these skills are provided through 30 odd technology skill stations. And if you later can join us in the exhibition space, you will see some of these exhibited. These technology stations are not mere skills training facilities. Instead, they are designed to provide commercial services as well to industry. And this starts creating this interface between the university and the industry, where it meets there. We provide service to industry, but we also use that as a platform of training. So for the first 6 months, they do their vocational training, which is at the bottom level where hopefully you can take the tour. And then for the next 6 months, they do projects, which is done at another venue. And the way we've brought that venue in was through the exhibition. But Resolution Circle is more than just an internship development program or platform. It's also a commercialization platform, specifically around technology. And it also acts as a gateway between university and industry. We address industry problems and provide solutions on their terms. Now, if I say on their terms, if they need a product developed in 3 months, we do it in 3 months. We also engage academics on these projects as far as we can, and also on research and training. The key concept is that of taking an idea or to prototype phase, and then from prototype to small scale production. We found that a lot of, especially entrepreneurs, get their product developed, they get the prototype, they can get funding. But the next step is to get it into the market. And the first 100 or first 1,000 is the most important part, which you don't get. And it's very difficult in the country because manufacturing is focused on large scale. So there's a number of key aspects in the delivery of our service. We do business development, we do engineering services, maybe just stepping back to business development. We do patenting, we have our own patent lawyer, we do the business model developing, and we also have a tech incubator, which is represented here tonight. But then also there's the engineering that we provide, which really goes from applied research right through to small scale production. We also do engineering services, and I see City of Joburg is here, where we do, because we have such a large skills base, we now use that in service of the city as well. And this, we do start doing things like maintenance and so on. The main focus areas that we are playing with is energy efficiency, which makes sense, and then also the Internet of Things, which has to do with a thing that's manufactured and some form of internet or applications that you have to develop. Again, the drive here is towards boosting manufacturability and so job creation as well. And that brings me to our track record over the past 8 months that we've been actively operating. As a company, we've been here for 3 years. We spent about 2 years, 2.5 years in really setting up. When I look at the NSF representatives, they're visiting every 3 months to check on us. Luckily, we got through that one clean. So on a technical level, we're happy to have developed more than 30 products which are now on the market and hold more than 20 patents just over this last year, 8 months to a year. On a human level, we are proud to have seen approximately 1,800 interns that have completed, 180 interns, but we are ramping that up very quickly. We should be hitting 300 interns that complete next year. We're also ramping up this 300 every semester that we will be taking in initially, which makes for quite a large company. If you look at our skills, our employment now, our staff complements about 120, about 80% of engineers. But I think after all is said and done, the biggest achievement for us is actually the positive feedback of our former interns. I want to quote what one of them wrote to us. Skills, good work ethic, responsibility, respect, and professionalism are only a few of the many characteristics that I obtained within the period of time that I spent at Resolution Circle. I want to express my gratitude for having been offered such a wonderful opportunity. When it seemed hopeless finding placement for my training, one of the interns said during a graduation ceremony at Resolution Circle, "Remember where it all started." I am also remembering those words, and I know I would not wish to have done my training anywhere else. He's working at Siemens at the moment, and he wrote this. But I think I'm going to leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you, Wimpy. And again, it's clear that you're doing this in collaboration with steadfast partners who's walking the way with you. It's indeed impressive, the track record in such a short space of time. It's now my privilege to call on our Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Aaron Rensburg, to come and do a keynote for us. VC, the platform is yours.
Allow me to greet you again, colleagues and friends. Sanibonani. Tobela. Let's start again. Sanibonani. Sanibonani. This is a celebration. Agonjalo. It's a celebration. So let's, push out some energy. Sanibonani. Tobela. Good evening. Goeienaand, dames en heren. How do you feel? I'm not going to ask us now to jump and, One of the great things about the human spirit is that it is driven by ambition. that is driven by a deep commitment to, hopefully most of the time, live at the frontier of possibilities. The even greater thing is when one's ambitions at the frontier turns into reality, isn't it? And so today we gather here to celebrate the coming together of a great and ambitious idea, a plan to get to a point, and an extraordinary partnership. That's what we celebrate today. Our choir was just two words that come for me from their energetic and celebratory performance was Kikizele. You know what that means, right? Huh? What does it mean to Kikizele? Huh? Let's hear. Yes. We celebrate, we throw up our hands, and the women will make that sound, you know, and it is in celebration. It is to say, what a moment. And in our African tradition, we find those moments to celebrate transitions. Yeah, we find them to celebrate transitions from the marriage ceremony and the preparations for it and the build up to it, for the birth of a child. Yeah, we celebrate the birth of a child. We say to our ancestors, just have a look at this beautiful child that has been born in this setting, in this sacred union. We find time to celebrate that child all the way along. And we are interrupted by moments when we have to say farewell to parents, sometimes to children, sadly, to brothers and sisters. And we find time to pause and to say to our ancestors, Siyabonga. That was the other word that you heard our choir sing, isn't it? Siyabonga, Siyabonga, which means thank you so much. We say thank you. We say thank you. We give thanks. We are grateful. And so this is what this evening is all about, this afternoon. It's about that moment of giving spiritual, emotional life to a project that has been so long in the making, that had its ups and downs, that had its trials and tribulations, and here we are today, celebrating and acknowledging the extraordinary work, the extraordinary partnership that has made this possible. And so I thank our council, not mentioned yet in the conversation. I give thanks to our council for the belief to make a determination that you like what you hear, and then to say 600 million bucks. Think of it, 600 million rands. I always say tongue in cheek to my colleagues in management. So let's figure out how many truckloads of 20 rand notes make up 600 million rands. That will give us a good idea of the level of investment. Or if you work in 50 rand notes, the same thing, right? Or 100 rand notes. If you put it all together, you're going to have truckloads of money. That is what we have invested together in this landmark here in the middle of the city of Johannesburg, this great city of Africa, Africa's most cosmopolitan city. We didn't choose to cut operations here because things looked untidy downtown, because that was an option for us. It was an option for us to sell what we had, pack up and go to the suburbs. No, we made a decision working with the city of Johannesburg that we are going to be also a catalyst in urban renewal. And if you walk around, okay, not right now, but, okay, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. when you walk around at 6 p.m. or 6 a.m. and you walk around, the others you want to drive, it's cool. So if you go around, you will see the renewal that's happening in this part of the inner city. And I should say, without advertising them, that MTN next door and us here have created the catalytic point for this part of the city to undergo significant renewal. And so I come back to the point that for council to have made such a decision, that it would stand surety for such a whack of investment, I think is an indication that council had significant confidence in what we are investing in. And I will talk about that shortly. Of course, university management, our deans, our executive directors in support services, our management executive committee of deputy vice chancellors, the registrar, and other colleagues have also been at the core, at the heart of turning the idea into practice, into reality, of mobilizing consent inside the institution, of mobilizing our peers inside the institution behind this big project. The Department of Higher Education and Training that must have thought, what is this Vice Chancellor smoking? When I went to the minister, first the department and then the minister, to say, Minister, this is the dream. This is the ambition. All I need from you, Minister, is 400 million rands. And of course, I was standing there next with other vice chancellors waiting to come also to come and plead their case. And I'm sure they all of us have valuable and important ideas that we would want to see life given to. And so the Department of Higher Education and Training, the minister in particular, for his belief, and of course for the partnership the department and the National Skills Fund had put together with us to be able to put this together. For the Skills Fund to consider over 200 million rands investment in one project, in one university, was a hell of a leap of faith, isn't it? I'm not sure if you've got similar sized projects, right, elsewhere. You might have. But for you to have made this decision, that one institution, one big idea, that you're going to go with it, I think is simply extraordinary. I need, as I did earlier when we cut the ribbons to some of the facilities, to also acknowledge our friends in Sibanye Gold, soon to be, I presume, Sibanye Resources, with them having just bought the platinum portfolio of Anglo American, and I'm told with more on the cards, perhaps in the coal sector next. Sibanye Gold, similar age and energy as the University of Johannesburg, similar ambition, similar drive. That's what we share between UJ and Sibanye Gold. Neil Fruneman at its head. When we presented to them, there was no issue. Just said, give me the check. I should say, tongue in cheek, we were looking for double what they put in because they also gave our peers next door some funds which they didn't work for. Nonetheless, Sibanye, and we continue to challenge our colleagues at Sibanye because we're keen to give them the building outside the building's name, so that they can continue to build their growing brand strength. Billiton Coal also came to the party with also a significant investment, as did Samsung, and we're grateful to those colleagues, to those leaders and organizations, great organizations, global organizations for that matter, who are partners in this important project. I've mentioned the city and its partnership, which is simply extraordinary. The city as Professor Clark has drawn attention to, has invested significantly in the work in Resolution Circle and broadly their confidence in the university. I think we're talking 400 million rands or thereabouts of investment in a range of initiatives, from digitizing and making hotspots available and accessible, the new push of 1,000 new hotspots, and the idea of the university playing a role in the training of digital ambassadors so that families, lower middle class, blue collar working class, the poorest in our city are able to access this, are able to make use of it, not just access it, but make use of this wonderful technology. And that's just one. Another big project that the city is involved in is a focus on innovation in the city. This is a significant investment that in the first instance is focused on helping the city improve its capacity, its systems, the way it does business in the city. So a significant investment. And I'm saying, as I look at our colleagues at the Skills Fund, that your investment is crowding in additional investments. And so the 600 million that we talk of includes your 220 or so million plus interest, right? And it now has been grown further, and we're talking of another 400 million rands plus on top of the 600 that I'm referring to. And it is in this manner that we're creating critical mass, and that we can be able to influence the direction of our city, of our continent, of our nation, our province, our continent. And so I thank our colleagues in province, in industry, in the CETAS, and of course, colleagues and students for this partnership that is now had the ribbon cut on it, and for this amazing accomplishment. So what the heck is this all about? So the first stream of work that we were engaged in was a stream of work focused on how do we optimize our campuses? Given that we a merger of 3 institutions, how do we make sure that we don't have one so-called head campus or main campus, but that we make sure that each of our campuses have an identity? And so invested considerable time and effort in that work, and we were able to consolidate the health sciences faculty on this campus. And I think we mustn't forget that part of what we are cutting the ribbon on today. The Department of Higher Education and Training and our partners in Philips and elsewhere made significant investments in building a world-class health sciences facility on the other side of the Sky Bridge. And of course, we began the journey of consolidating our engineering programs on this campus. And of course, more needs to be done in the years ahead. And that's perhaps the job of the next Vice Chancellor to accomplish. Otherwise, the next Vice Chancellor won't have work to do, right? And so the decision was made to pause on consolidating engineering sciences on this campus until the next Vice Chancellor comes on board. The first set of work then was focused on accomplishing consolidation, accomplishing a particular identity for this campus. And it's clear that the campus has evolved. The facilities, the magnificent facilities, and of course, the migration of our health sciences programs such as nursing, sports science, sports psychology, optometry, and other programs to this campus was also important in elevating this inner city campus's identity and role and place. And by that, I mean our colleagues, our peers who occupy and give life to this particular space here in the inner city. The second stream of activity, Wimpy, Professor Clark has drawn attention to. I'm not going to, the second and third stream, I'm not going to speak to those except again to just simply denote them. The first of which is the importance of creating a space for our diploma engineering students to complete their qualification. It is one of the extraordinary and puzzling outcomes of our post-apartheid era that perhaps started in late apartheid, that first the state-owned enterprises bailed out of providing the important spaces and places for these young people to go and develop their capacity. And so we saw, what is this thing that Vavi speaks about and others speak about, this job massacre? What job, what? Bloodbath. So we had, if you like, a bloodbath in apprenticeships from late apartheid into the current period. And it's unfortunate that industry followed suit. And so we have these young people on the street with 2/3 of their qualification complete and unable to go and find a job. And this was one of the big ideas that we put to our colleagues, the minister and our colleagues in the department, to say, we can't continue to do a Pontius Pilate Act as universities. Wash our hands. We can't wash our hands. It is, okay, criminal is a strong word, but it's damn close to it. That universities invest in 2 or 3 years of university education, and then we wash our hands. Yes, recognizing that industry and state-owned enterprises such as Transnet and Telkom have to get to the party and play their roles. And so one of the things that we're cutting the ribbon on today is this issue of having here a sizable capacity. 300, eventually 600 a year. We will graduate up to 600 a year when fully phased in, 600 a year students completing their qualifications. And that includes our students from Tshwane University of Technology. It includes students from Vaal University of Technology, and it will in time include students from the technical and vocational education and training colleges around here. In fact, the project started with the John Orr Technical College, not far from far from here, not far from here. How do I say? Close to us, okay. And so it started there, and it clearly is going to expand in the time ahead. The third part, Professor Clark also spoke to, and simply to say that it just does not make sense that we have this extraordinary human capital, intellectual capital, students and our staff, academic staff, who are ready to engage with problems from industry, real industry problems. It simply is not cool. It's not okay for us to have that capacity, and we have deindustrialization continuing in our economy, especially here in the province of Gauteng. And so much of that effort focused on the knowledge, innovation, tech transfer, commercialization ecosystem. Much of that effort, therefore, is focused on building that ecosystem. That's the third stream. And we do so not because we like it, we do it because it's essential for our economy, for our country, and for our continent. Ultimately, though, here are the two conundra. On the one hand, we're faced with the real possibility of human society emptying out, collapsing, because of extraordinary poverty, extraordinary levels of inequality. And South Africa, case in point, Namibia, case in point, Botswana, case in point, being 3 of the most unequal nations in the world as we speak. And so there's a real possibility that the purpose and the meaning of society gets lost. That those who in our society are the poorest in our society, that they see no point in upholding a constitution, in respecting, in committing themselves to building a society. There's a real possibility. And it's not just here. Globally, human society is in peril. Equally so, our planet is in peril. A recent report suggests that 40% of ocean life is gone, and that we're on the brink in respect of the death of our oceans. Just by way of example. As I always say, nothing is inevitable. There is no line that says that because of these two ideas, or facts, if you like, right? Human society and our planet in peril, there is no idea that that process will run its course and it will see the end of human society and the end of the planet. And that is our job. In particular, the job of universities is to not only create and mobilize hope, but it's also our responsibility to challenge our students to think differently about their existence and about the future. It is to challenge them to think differently and to think of alternatives. And there's a vast array of alternatives from the current paths that we are on. Development paths that are resource intensive, development paths that are waste, shall I say extensive. They are alternatives to the manner in which human society is evolving. And so that's our first duty. And so that's a conundrum. Hopelessness, hope. Can't go down a path of hopelessness. Can't mobilize hopelessness. And so this project, in part, is about mobilizing hope. It is saying to these young folk who are on the streets in their thousands with incomplete qualifications, take back your space. Reclaim your space in society. Here we are as UJ. Shake your hand. Let's partner with you so that you can accomplish that which you have the potential for and which you have invested so much of your life in already. And go in and change the world. Go in, change human society. Go in, change the planet. The second conundrum, I'm going to stop now. Second conundrum is Africa's population in 2060 will be 4.2 billion, which will be 40% of the world population. Almost half of the young people, 16 to 35 or so, in this continent of ours. But unlike the USA, unlike the UK, unlike the EU, unlike China, unlike India, 53 nations, and maybe more in time to come. And so a future which in the next 2 generations can become a future of prosperity or a future of lost opportunities. Again, the lost opportunities is not an option. We cannot contemplate that possibility. It is our responsibility, all of us, but especially those of universities. Especially those of universities. And this university has put its hand up. It says we are the first in line. And so it's the university's duties in particular in particular to construct an alternative future. And here at the University of Johannesburg, we invest in great effort. And I don't have the time to talk this evening. I've already taken too much of your time. We invested great effort, great effort, and we will continue to invest that effort in building this university in partnership with our peers in South Africa and on the continent. Build this university as the epicenter, as the Pan-African epicenter of critical intellectual inquiry. And what we are doing this evening is precisely about that. Our partners in industry, those who have contributed significantly to us, our partners in the Skills Fund, our partners in government, are saying, we stand with you today. We partner with you today. We journey with you today in building alternative futures, sustainable futures, futures that will see possibilities given life to. And so I thank you for your friendship, your partnership, for journeying with us. And I I acknowledge in particular our colleagues on the international panel. I'm not saying that we laid this on especially for you. So I should just say in parentheses that as part of the university's review system this time, we have the international panel that is examining and reviewing our engineering faculty. And we look forward, of course, to your wisdom as we continue to build this faculty of engineering. So thank you very much. And we have fantastic facilities here. We have fantastic colleagues, engineering and health sciences under the stewardship of Professor Sina and Professor Swart. We look forward to you mobilizing the facilities to their fullest extent, giving life to it with you, with your peers, with your colleagues, and making yourself proud as you make us all proud. Ngiyabonga kakhulu. Thank you very much.
So it's of course one thing to have a compelling vision and a dream. It's quite another to turn that vision and a dream into a tangible reality. And all I can share with you as a member of this university, we are being pushed to work the vision. We work the vision. Thank you, VC. Thank you for a celebratory, then visionary, and then intensely thought-provoking presentation. Thank you to the VC. So Professor Sina and Professor Marwala, who's not here, our DVC, will say in engineering, they overspec all the time. But the one thing at UJ we try to do is we underspec when it comes to time. I think we're on time. And it brings us to, and it's my pleasure to introduce him, the chairperson of our council, Professor Roy Marcus, to come and do an official word of thanks and a vote of thanks for us. Prof. Marcus.
Ladies and gentlemen, for us from a council point of view, we sit in the council chamber and the Vice Chancellor presents to us a vision, and then he always says, this is going to cost you bucks. And you know, for us to come here today and to see what you've done with those bucks, Vice Chancellor, is incredibly exciting. Now, I need to say this not particularly for our international review panel, but just for everybody to know that about 3 years ago, the Vice Chancellor presented to Council in November a vision for this institution that will actually focus on a technology thrust. And why is this so important? I escaped from an institution not far from here, where in fact the Vice Chancellor constantly reminded me as the Dean that he had absolute commitment to the Faculty of Engineering. But when I looked at the resources that I was getting, I was actually the lowest on the pecking order. In fact, even worse than the humanities, which is actually, it's just unacceptable. But the point is that he has put his money where his mouth is. So first of all, I want to say to you, Vice Chancellor, that when we sit in a function like this from a council point of view, we have every reason to be incredibly proud that we have a person like you driving this institution, and we have a person like you who actually commits to a vision and makes it happen. And I want to thank you for that, because this is really it. There are some colleagues of mine on council, and I have to say to you unashamedly that this institution is blessed with probably the best council members in the country. People who have given an absolute commitment. This is our national service. We do this because we have a faith in UJ, and we do it because, in fact, exactly what the Vice Chancellor said, there's an ulterior motive that tertiary education in this country has got to solve some of the most horrific problems that are taking place. And I want to say to Cyril Gebhardt, who's sitting here as well, who's the chairman of our PRC committee, who drives these projects on behalf of council, to thank you, Cyril. I really have to tell you that when you first brought us here, I left totally depressed. I said, nobody can do anything. This was, and I said to the Vice Chancellor, why didn't you go to a movie house and say, I've got a shell for a horror movie? And in fact, it's far from a horror movie now. But you know, all of this is all about UJ being an experiment. How do you take this young kid on the block that 10 years ago was destined to die, to find it now creeping up, not only in South Africa, but in Africa? If you have a look at our latest ratings, it is unbelievable where we've got. So the university is an experiment. Wimpy RC is an experiment. It cannot fail. It simply cannot fail. And all of these things are centered around what I call the best kept secret in South Africa. We have Natalie here from PTIP, a technology which has been developed by this university for thin film solar. We have the iAuthenticate guys here. You must see what is happening in this institution. And the Vice Chancellor spoke about lost opportunities. And there are people from government here. And there are people from business here. And let me just say one thing. It's about time you people realized that in this country, we have got technologies that it is, and the Vice Chancellor said he doesn't like to use the word criminal. I will tell you that it is criminal to go and buy technologies from China and other places when we've got better technologies in this country. So what I'm saying is that I'm appealing to everybody here to leave tonight knowing one thing, that we can do it in South Africa, and more importantly, this new facility can do it. So a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting with some of my colleagues, and I said to them, why am I'm just dabbling in a project. I'm trying to become a reclaimed engineer. And we're using a commercial company, and I phoned Yaka, our DVC Finance, and I said, Yaka, I'm going to bring this project to RC. And Wimpy, I was shown what your guys have done in a week. And I'm happy for you to show people what your guys have done on this little project in a week. And I'll tell you now, no commercial company in this country could have done what you guys have done. So I'm extremely proud to be a customer of yours. And I don't want any favors. I want it to be done properly. So as we go tonight and we actually celebrate, as the Vice Chancellor said, there are some other important key players. He has mentioned the department, he's mentioned the National Skills Fund, he's mentioned the Department of Health and all other people. But you know, we also have a person in the form of Mike Myers, who the Vice Chancellor and I called in and said, Mike, because of the unbelievable failure of experiments like RC, and I am the first person, go and read in the history of WITS, the first science park that failed. I was the guy in your position, Wimpy. And the reason why it failed is because we allowed academics to steer the thing. And so we brought you, Mike Myers, in, and the Vice Chancellor and I want to thank you most sincerely, not only for what you have done, but what the board has done, because we need guidance. We need you to keep us on the straight and narrow. And more importantly, we need you to leverage opportunities for us. Wimpy, you've had a rough time. I know you've had a rough time. I mean, I'm not sure whether if I would have stuck it out at WITS for so long if I'd had as rough a time as you had. But you know what? When you came to us and you told us about this dream and you played those little games in that prefab building on Kingsway and stuff like that, and you convinced the Vice Chancellor, who then had the guts to come and take a thing that was a couple of million rand and put into 600 million rand, I want to thank you for that. And I want to wish you the greatest success, because our eyes are on you, my friend. They are on you. That 600 million rand is not a gift. It's got to make bucks. And why has it got to make bucks? For the simple reality is that yesterday we sat as a university community and we looked at the harsh realities. We got to find other ways to generate income. And by the way, we can't carry on increasing student fees. So this is a critical thing. And then finally, to your MEC, Vice Chancellor, and you have mentioned them, but it is important what your team has done. And I also want to then conclude and thank most sincerely the partners. It was an emotional experience tonight to see two committed partners, which are only one of, I know, Wimpy, dozens of other organizations. But you know, this university has a philosophy around partnerships. And I've always said that one of the most amazing things that has happened is that go and read in our annual report, the universities around the world that have actually agreed to enter into partnership with UJ for one reason only. We respect partnerships. We enter into partnerships, as the Vice Chancellor said tonight, as a mutually beneficial arrangement. And that is key to the focus. And Council drives that whole notion of partnerships. So it is an amazing opportunity. Thanks for including Council tonight, and congratulations and great success.
Thank you, Chair. And let me also take this opportunity to thank you and Council for your stewardship and leadership. We are most grateful. Are we ready for the video? Our very last item. And then I'll just say thank you, and then we can go and continue to celebrate. Thank you.
Alive with the pace and energy of its home city, the University of Johannesburg is one of the largest universities in Africa. With 9 faculties, more than 90 departments, and an enrollment of almost 50,000 students, UJ is spread across 4 different campuses. Our university was established in 2005, but already ranks among the top 100 universities in the BRICS countries, and has established itself in the top 4% of universities worldwide. As a university with a vision to become the change agent in Africa, the challenge for UJ is to excel at academia with specific focus on science, engineering, and innovation. What we want to accomplish is realizing the massive potential that higher education holds for the development of our continent. UJ Vice Chancellor and Principal, Prof. Iron Rensburg, has a formula for the art of accomplishment. Ambition plus hard work equals accomplishment. And that's the art of accomplishment, the guiding principle in UJ's ongoing quest for excellence. One of the great challenges for all universities is to ensure that graduates leave the institution with relevant adaptive skills. In the past, apprenticeship or internship programs were part of industry training. It is increasingly difficult for companies to offer on-the-job training in today's economy. Nevertheless, this should remain a shared responsibility between the underpinning philosophy and scientific knowledge of universities and industry. UJ has consolidated engineering and health sciences on the Durbanfontein campus to drive technology innovation with the aim of downstream commercialization and to capitalize on skills transfer and industry training. To find an innovative solution, a UJ team under the guidance of Prof. Rensburg visited international universities to gain insight into the situation. Globally, the trend is towards commercialization and for universities to bring industry value through collaboration. Our findings were applied to the African market and a unique model was developed. This approach was perfectly in line with the Department of Higher Education and Training's development goals and the South African government's National Skills Fund. With joint investment from the National Skills Fund, the Department of Higher Education and Training, Sibanye Gold, Billiton Coal, and UJ, the concept of Resolution Circle was born. This UJ company enables a solution process for the university and its students, as well as benefiting industry. Work-integrated learning and commercialization now all takes place under the banner of Resolution Circle. Today, Resolution Circle is housed in beautiful headquarters within minutes of UJ and the Joburg CBD, with more than 100 permanent staffers and 200 interns. It uses tech commercialization as a platform to provide real-world training to technology interns and to build a bridge to industry. This is a rich technology ecosystem that provides a one-step commercial solution, enabling innovation from idea to barcode. The Resolution Circle Tech Incubator was formed to engage with the entrepreneurial community. RC's incubator helps early-stage technology startups that need to design, prototype, and commercialize any form of technology. At RC, staff and interns have access to a sophisticated, world-class array of on-site technology, all under one roof. Tech stations include robotics, industrial automation, electromagnetic interference testing, energy efficiency, facial recognition, chemical process development, textiles, and 3D printing. Blue Ribbon partners such as Standard Bank have set up offices with us and integrated their Resolution Circle platforms into their business. They're partnering with UJ on practical, commercially viable projects. More than 30 projects have been developed with industry clients. Innovation startups are now part of business, not an add-on. Partnering with the City of Johannesburg, UJ and Resolution Circle also launched the Green City Startup Challenge, a 5 million rand competition for innovative, sustainable proposals in energy, water, waste, transport, and building management. 8 finalists have received grants to develop their ideas, and 120 UJ students are employed as interns, developing prototypes and augmenting their ideas with Resolution Circle guidance. The Green City Startup Challenge has proven itself as a tool for local government to manage large, complex projects with universities as strategic partners. It is sure to have successful public sector outputs and to unlock powerful African ideas to all of our benefit. Thanks to best practice financial governance by UJ Finance, we ensure full adherence to industry norms and standards. Resolution Circle is well on its way to becoming a self-sustaining, commercially focused company. The newly refurbished Pascore facility not only provides classrooms, but conveniently houses the Resolution Circle training workshops and small-scale manufacturing facilities. It offers cutting-edge machinery and infrastructure and training to the highest industry standards. With an holistic approach to training and industry context, we're able to take concepts from idea to barcode, from prototype to small-scale manufacturing. In so doing, UJ, with its partners in government and the private sector, stimulates local production, job creation, and manufacturing. UJ, through Resolution Circle as its execution arm, constantly gains expertise and offers a unique opportunity for startups and established businesses to develop marketable ideas using our tech hub. Through partnering with our tech and business specialists, we can unlock the talent of Africa's best young minds. It's all aimed at responsiveness, the advancement of human society, and ensuring the sustainability of our planet. The University of Johannesburg is leading through shaping the future. The goal remains our vision of global excellence and stature. We invite you to visit the exhibition and to join the guided tours of our workshops.
Of our program, I'd like to thank you once again for taking time out to come and share with us. I would like to invite you to join us for more cocktails. Drive safely. As for those of you who would like to challenge the choir, like Rudy Peterson, who am I to talk you out of it? Thank you very much.